Indian Wells just became ground zero for the biggest cultural takeover tennis has ever seen, and nobody saw it coming. Not the tournament directors, not the players, and definitely not the fans who thought they'd stroll in and grab decent seats like any other year. Eala, ranked number 31 in the world, is about to make her main draw debut at what they call the 5th Grand Slam, and California's Filipino community just said, "Hold our lumpia, we're taking over this entire desert." Stick around because what happened when Alex landed in California is straight out of a Hollywood script, except this time the ending hasn't been written yet, and the whole tennis world is watching. Quick favor, if you're loving this content, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers haven't yet. It's free, takes a second, and means the world to us. Thanks if you did. Now back to the show. Picture this, the BNP Paribas Open, Indian Wells, California. Palm trees swaying, mountains in the background, and a vibe so exclusive it makes Wimbledon look like a neighborhood block party. This tournament has been around since the 70s, attracting tennis royalty and fans who probably own more tennis rackets than most people own shoes. It's where legends are made, where Serena dominated, where Federer glided across the court like he was performing ballet, and where the crowd is typically so polite you could hear a champagne cork pop from 3 courts away. But 2026, different story, because Eala just walked into the building, and she brought an entire nation with her. Not metaphorically, folks, literally an entire nation showed up. Tournament organizers are probably looking at their attendance projections from last year and wondering if someone added an extra 0 by mistake. Spoiler alert, they didn't. This is real, and it's spectacular. Let's rewind for a second because Eala's journey to this moment reads like one of those underdog sports movies where the hero faces impossible odds. 12 months ago, she was ranked number 137 in the world. That's the kind of ranking where you're grinding through qualifying rounds, staying in budget hotels, and hoping your coach can afford the plane ticket to the next tournament. Fast forward to today, and she's sitting at number 31, earned, not gifted. No wild cards, no shortcuts, just pure tennis and an almost supernatural ability to close out matches when it matters most. She demolished opponents in Miami, went deep in Dubai, and turned heads at every elite tournament she entered. Tennis analysts started whispering her name in the same breath as the sport's rising stars, and suddenly the question wasn't if she'd break into the top 30, but when she'd crack the top 10. But here's where it gets spicy. Alex isn't just any rising star, she's Filipino, and if you know anything about Filipino culture, you know that when one of their own makes it big, the entire community rallies like they're preparing for the Super Bowl, the World Cup, and New Year's Eve all rolled into one. So when news broke that Eala qualified for Indian Wells, not as a wild card hopeful, but as a legitimate main draw competitor, something shifted in California. The Filipino-American community, one of the largest and most tightly knit diaspora groups in the entire United States, looked at each other and said, "We're going to Indian Wells, all of us." Tournament officials probably thought they'd see a modest bump in ticket sales, maybe a few more Filipino flags in the crowd. What they got instead was a full-scale invasion. And yes, invasion is the right word, because when you check secondary ticket markets right now, prices have surged so high you'd think Taylor Swift announced a surprise concert. Entire stadium sections sold out faster than you can say ace. Fans from Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, even as far as Las Vegas and Seattle are making the pilgrimage to the California desert. Hotels near Indian Wells are booked solid, restaurants are bracing for capacity crowds, and somewhere a local business owner is probably calculating how much extra inventory they need to order, because this isn't just a tennis match anymore, it's a movement. Now, Eala isn't walking into this moment unprepared. Before heading to Indian Wells, she made a strategic stop that sent the internet into overdrive. Nike headquarters. Yes, that Nike, the swoosh empire that turned athletes into global icons. Alex rolled up to Nike HQ like she owned the place, which, let's be honest, she kinda does now, because Nike doesn't just invite anyone through those doors. This wasn't a casual meet and greet, this was a statement, a symbolic nod that Eala is not just another player grinding through the tour. She's a brand, a movement, and a future face of tennis.
The visit was documented, shared across social media, and dissected by fans like it was a Da Vinci painting. People analyzing every photo, every gesture, trying to decode what this means for her career. And the message was crystal clear. Alex is playing the long game. She's not just here to compete, she's here to dominate, to inspire, and to rewrite the narrative of what a tennis star looks like in 2026.
But let's talk about what's really happening at Indian Wells, because this isn't just about one player showing up to compete. This is about cultural pride manifesting in ways the tennis world has never experienced before. Filipino fans aren't just attending matches, they're transforming the entire atmosphere of the tournament. Imagine walking into a stadium expecting the usual polite applause and quiet murmurs between points, and instead, you're hit with chants, drums, flags waving like it's a World Cup qualifier, and an energy so electric it makes the US Open night sessions look tame. Opponents stepping onto the court to face Eala are about to experience something they've never trained for. It's not just about handling her forehand or breaking down her serve. It's about playing against an entire stadium that sounds like a home crowd in Manila. And good luck focusing when thousands of voices are chanting in unison, when every point Alex wins gets celebrated like she just clinched a Grand Slam title. This is psychological warfare, tennis edition, and nobody told the other players this was part of the job description. Tournament organizers are reportedly stunned, and honestly, who can blame them? Indian Wells has hosted legends. It's seen drama, upsets, and iconic moments. But this is uncharted territory. The BNP Paribas Open prides itself on being a premier event, attracting the elite of the elite. But now they're dealing with a fan base that operates on a completely different level of passion and loyalty. Security teams are probably running extra shifts, crowd control strategies are being revised on the fly, and somewhere the tournament director is sipping coffee, staring at attendance numbers and muttering, "What just happened?" What happened is Eala brought the Filipino diaspora to tennis, and they're not here to spectate quietly. They're here to make noise, to represent, and to show the world that when a community rallies behind one of their own, it's not just support, it's a takeover. And let's address the elephant in the room, or should we say the crowd in the stadium. This isn't just about tennis anymore. This is about representation, about seeing someone who looks like you, who shares your culture, your struggles, your dreams, competing at the highest level. For Filipino Americans across California and beyond, Eala represents more than athletic excellence. She's proof that their community belongs on the global stage. She's validation that hard work, sacrifice, and resilience can break through barriers that once seemed insurmountable. Every time Alex steps onto that court, she's carrying the hopes of millions, not just in the Philippines, but across every corner of the globe where Filipinos have built lives, raised families, and held on to their culture with fierce pride. That's why the tickets sold out. That's why fans are willing to pay premium places, travel hundreds of miles, and turn Indian Wells into a full-blown cultural celebration. Because this moment is bigger than tennis. It's history. Now, let's talk about what this means for Alex's opponents, because here's the reality. Tennis is as much a mental game as it is physical. You can have the perfect serve, the sharpest volleys, and the endurance of a marathon runner, but if your head isn't in the game, you're toast. And imagine being the player scheduled to face Eala in front of this crowd. You walk onto the court, and instead of the usual split support or polite neutrality, you're facing a wall of sound that feels like the entire stadium is rooting against you. Every unforced error you make gets cheered like Alex just hit a winner. Every second serve gets met with noise designed to rattle your concentration. It's hostile, it's intense, and it's completely legal. This is what home court advantage looks like in tennis, and Alex didn't even have to request it. The Filipino community just handed it to her on a silver platter, or maybe a golden tray, because let's be honest, they went all out. And here's the kicker. Eala is ready for this. She's not overwhelmed by the pressure or the expectations. If anything, she's thriving on it.
Her rise from number 137 to number 31 wasn't luck or a fluke. It was consistent, calculated dominance. She's proven she can handle pressure, close out tight matches, and perform when the stakes are highest. Now add a crowd that believes in her like she's already a champion, and you've got a recipe for something special. Tennis analysts are already speculating about how far she can go at Indian Wells. First round, easy money. Second round, likely. But what about the quarters, the semis? Could Eala, in front of the most electrifying crowd Indian Wells has ever seen, pull off a deep run that cements her status as one of the sport's brightest rising stars? The odds say it's possible. The energy says it's inevitable. But beyond the matches, beyond the rankings, and beyond the hype, this moment reveals something profound about sports in 2026. We're living in an era where athletes are more than competitors. They're symbols, movements, and catalysts for change. Eala's impact at Indian Wells isn't just about tennis. It's about redefining what fandom looks like, about proving that passion and culture can transform even the most traditional sporting events into something extraordinary. The tennis establishment has always prided itself on decorum, on maintaining a certain atmosphere, but Alex and her army of supporters just crashed that party and said, "We're rewriting the rules." And you know what? It's working. Viewership is up. Social media is buzzing. Even casual fans who couldn't tell you the difference between a forehand and a backhand are tuning in because the story is too good to ignore. As Alex prepares to step onto that court, as the Filipino community gathers in sections that now feel more like a home stadium than a neutral venue, one thing is certain: Indian Wells 2026 will be remembered not just for the tennis, but for the cultural earthquake that Eala triggered. This is what happens when talent meets opportunity, meets a community ready to show the world what pride looks like. So buckle up, tennis fans, because the baseline just shifted, and Eala is about to show us all what's possible when you play with an entire nation behind you.